Hi everybody, today's session is going to be mainly for the beginners, however more senior grades can also do with practicing these as well. So we're going to go through basic stances, then we're going to go through basic blocks, and then we're going to go through some basic striking techniques. And we're going to look at them in a sort of static position, but also moving. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our stances. So first one we're going to look at is going to be Narani Jumbi Sogi, okay, parallel ready stance. So with this, our feet are parallel, they are on shoulder width, so from the centre of my shoulder to the centre of my feet, with the feet facing forwards, and we've got a 50-50 sort of weight balance on the legs. The arms are 30 degrees out from the shoulder joint, 40 degrees at the elbow joint, and they're between 5 to 7 centimetres away from the abdomen in its position here. So side position here. So 30 degrees at the elbow, the shoulder, 40 degrees at the elbow joint, 5 to 7 centimetres away from the abdomen. Okay, so that's our start position, Narani Jumbi Sogi, parallel ready stance. Sitting stance is our next one. So with our sitting stance, what we're looking at is for our feet to be 1.5 shoulder widths wide to the outside of the feet. The feet are slightly turned in, just very marginally, but what we're looking to do is push our knees out so that we're going onto our bell cows, the foot sores on the outside of the feet. We just sit down in it so we have our back slightly flexed backwards in this position so we are upright. So if I take a side view on it, so we're in this position here. So I feel all my force going out onto the bell cows, onto the side of the feet, but I'm balanced and upright. Okay? So next we're going to look at our walking stance, which we touched on before when we looked at Chonji To. So we need to look at this being 1.5 shoulder widths long, 1 shoulder width wide. The centre of my foot again is on the centre of my shoulder, and again the centre of my rear foot comes down the centre of this shoulder. My rear foot, 25 degrees. So with 25 degrees, it allows my hips to be in a good position. Biomechanically, I can push off nice and easily. All right? My front leg, the knee is in line with the rear of my heel of the foot on the floor. What this does now is it pushes the weight through to the floor, into the ball of the foot, rather than just into the heel and straight onto the front of the foot there. So it comes all the way through onto the ball of the foot. If I change this, it changes where my hip is. So now, again, biomechanically, I'm inefficient here. If I'm straight, it then starts to put tension onto my hip. So that 25 degrees takes that tension off those hip flexors and off the hip. So again, sideways position on this, so you can see it. So 1 shoulder width wide, 1.5 shoulder widths long, lock the rear leg out, 25 degrees of the rear foot, knee in line with the heel at the front. Now when I'm moving on here, what it allows me to do is, as we talked about before, is flex the knee, lift the heel, but push the knee across over the foot here. So all I'm doing then is now shifting through, keeping my body weight nice and low or on the same plane before lifting and going down the other side. Last one we're going to do today is going to be the L stance. So, as it says, it is an L position with feet. So if I use the lines on the floor here, all we do is push the foot out. Slightly wider, we need around about 2 inches between the heel and the toe. Now, as you see on the feet, my front foot is slightly angled in, 15 degrees. My rear foot is also angled in 15 degrees. I have 70% of the weight on the back leg, and I have 30% on the front leg here. Whereas when we have the walking stance, 50-50 weight distribution, goes to a centre of gravity straight through my centre, through the groin. Here, I still have the centre of gravity through my groin, but with that weight on the back leg, that 70% on the back leg, it enables me to just shift and lift my leg up. Now, if we look at that positioning here, again, my knee is in line with the heel on that front leg, straight down. So again, I've got that angle of the tibia. My rear leg, what I have here is, if I draw a line down from the outside of my shoulder to the inside of my knee, these two are in line. But I'm pushing out to my knees as well. By pushing out to my knees, it takes onto the bell cows again. So again, gives me that stability. So all the time, I shouldn't just be sitting here, I should be pushing those knees outwards, so it gives me that grip of the floor. Okay, so that's important. So 1.5 shoulder widths long, from the rear of my foot to the front of the toes on my front leg there. Okay? Right, so we're now going to look at striking from a Narani Jumbi Sogi position, so that, or in fact we'll do blocking first, so that we go through the basic blocks. The important things here is to understand is we should be blocking from our rear chest line. So when we actually do the movement, when we rotate up, my hands come on my rear chest line. So just for clarity, we have a centre line, we have our chest lines down through here, through the badges, and then I have my shoulder line through the middle of my shoulder. So from this position, if I do the first one, which is our outer forearm block, back at Pawamaki, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hands up. The hand that is blocking goes on the inside. It is above the shoulder. It is on my rear chest line. From this position here, with palms, one facing outwards, my blocking hand facing inwards, all I'm going to do is rotate out and bring it to shoulder height. So here, 90 degrees. My blocking tool is going to be on my shoulder line. This one is going to come back to my hip. Okay? So we raise up on feet, lift it up, and then back down again. We allow a natural move of the shoulders each time. We make sure that it is coming to shoulder height. If we do the high one though, again, we would just take it above the shoulder, but this time we're taking it across, so my fists are in line with my eyes. So that's back at Pawamaki, which is outer forearm block. The next one we'll do is we'll do low block. Okay? So, from low block, what we're looking to do is we're looking to chamber again on the top or the inside, whichever makes you feel comfortable. It's in line with the solar plexus, but again on my opposite chest line. So from here, as I come up, I'm coming down. I have my arm at 25 degrees here, to this position, to here. My blocking tool, which is this part of my forearm, again, is going to be on my chest line this time, here. Next one we're going to do is rising block, Chukuyomaki. So, Chukuyomaki. This is a little bit more complex. So with Chukuyomaki, what we need to do is, we are chambering at solar plexus height, we're chambering on the opposite chest line, but what happens at this point is, we lift slightly, the underhand moves slightly forwards. As we get to just about collarbone height, then we unleash it and we bring the other one back to the pelvis. This one ends up one fist above our forehead. It is on a 45-degree plane with the actual angle of the forearm also on 45, so it comes up to meet the object coming forwards. So we're not straight above ourselves here, we're slightly forwarded, 45 degrees, and again we have a 45-degree slant in the forearm there, but also that 45-degree tilt as well. So from here, we're up, lift, and then extend. So here and up, here and up. So what I want you to do is practice those a few times and go through them multiple times so you get used to them. Lifting up on the heels each time so that you are from here and dropping into it. Last one. So I've left this one to last, even though it's very similar to the first block we did. We're going to do Pawamaki, inner forearm block. Now the reason I've left this to last is because all the other ones I've done so far have come on from the inside of the arm, or on top of. This one is the only block, really down the lower end blocks, that comes from the outside. So what happens on this one is, as we lift the arms up to chamber, the hand that is blocking goes to the outside, okay? So both palms facing away. It's still on my rear chest line. As I then deliver it, we then rotate round. So again, this is on my shoulder line, and also on my shoulder height, but we are using the inner forearm block. So from this position, let's show the outer forearm block is here. The inner forearm block is this position. Shown the other way. Outer forearm block, inner forearm block. So again, both of them are doing opposite reaction force. So again, do a few of those, get used to that, and move forwards, or not moving forwards and doing it on the spot. Just allowing that body to naturally move. Once you've done that, what I want you to do is then practice moving forwards doing this. We're going to do it in walking stance. So, all we're going to do from this position is move forward one step. So we'll do back at Pawamaki to start with. So, knee spring and through and forwards. So again, we're practicing our stances. Make sure we're getting 25 degrees that back leg. Make sure our stance is correct here. Then all we do is step back. Again. Low block. rising block. And now in a forearm block. One thing to notice, we need to start looking at trying to keep the amount of time that the block is stationary at the midpoint as little as possible. Now when you first start learning it, then taking it up, stopping and then coming forwards will assist you. But you want to then gravitate onto having the minimum amount of time stopping. It's what's termed the aponeuralization phase, which is that static piece between going backwards to going forwards. If we look at the training sequence of Taekwondo, what it says is once we start delivering a technique, it does not stop. So again, what we need to look at, as we come back, it touches and then comes forwards again. Touches, then comes forward again. Okay? So, with Anpamamaki, again, something else to note as you get more proficient at this, what we find is that it's not just about being here, stopping at this position, crossing the forearms, or the wrists and coming through. There is a continuation of the movement. What happens is we come, it then continues slightly before coming forwards. So it continues. So again, from here, slightly more, and then through. But what we don't do is over-exaggerate it. There's no need for that. It's just from there, through. Okay? So then, once you get proficient at using Anpamamaki, then try to put that in as well. Right, now we're doing our blocks. Let's go on to our basic strikes. So the basic strikes, what I want you to do is again start from Nurani Chumisogi, and we're going to just punch. So from this position, all we're going to do is punch. Now, with it we need to be one fist below shoulder height. It needs to be to the centre. We need to use our Apjamuk, okay, forefist. Now, what we need to look at here is the angle of the forefist as well. So we don't want it up in this position here, we don't want it down, because that weakens the wrist. So what we have is it nice and straight in this position here, okay? Well, it seems like it's slightly downward, but it's not. It is flat and straight. So, all we need to do to start off with is holding it out forwards. As we lift up on the heels, all we do is we swap them over. Notice the actual twist is right on the very end. What I'm not doing is twisting here, because what happens is the elbow comes out, and what we start doing is this hooking movement. So the way I try to explain it is we punch with the elbow, okay? So the elbow comes straight out. So the elbow is punching, then when we get to the end, extension of the elbow, then the twist comes in. So from here, now, once you get used to that, of just push and pull with that action, and you get used to it being on the hip, the next stage is to get the more relaxed sort of movement of allowing the fist to actually come off the belt slightly. So it's better if I show you on it in a sideways view. So what happens is, as I start to move, my arm that's up here relaxes slightly, but this relaxes forward slightly off the hip. Now it's not an active movement, we don't move it forwards. It's just a case of relaxing. The arms relax, that's all that happens. So it just comes off, it's one fist off the hip movement here. Here, there. So what happens now, as it moves forwards, then there's a backwards movement and a forwards movement with this arm, whereas this top arm, from here, we then move forwards with it to then come through. It allows a slight movement with the shoulders as well, with the chest. So we're not static here, it allows this movement, the shoulder to slightly come back. So again, with it, up and down on the heels, so you get that movement. Relaxation, speed, it's not about strength. If you start putting strength into it, it all goes a little bit wrong. So, once we've got used to that, what we can then do is we can then move forward to our walking stance piece. So, sideways view again, from here. Notice how I lift the arm up before I deliver. So basically what we're doing is we're pushing out this, we're making a target for the other one to come at. What I'm not doing here is keeping this down low, because it's not opposite reaction force. We need to create that opposite reaction force. We can look at middle punch, high punch, and low punch. With our high punch, dead easy, all we're doing is we're going to be punching to eye height. So not higher than eye height, but at eye height. because you are fighting, or you're mimicking fighting somebody of the same height as yourself. Low punch is here. So we're looking at it being down 45 degrees below the belt height. This is the only time in Taekwondo where we look down, and that's with a low punch. And it first really comes in Juche pattern, which is up as a third degree pattern. Okay, in fact, sorry, second degree pattern. Right, once we've done it as static, then we can start moving forwards. So from here, knee spring, and explode forwards. So again, we don't just fall, we explode into it here, and through. Okay, so we can then move up and down, as we would do with our blocks. So from here, then we can bring our blocks in. Okay, last piece for this bit of session. What we're now going to do is 2 strikes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some L stance, because again, I want you as beginners to start practicing the L stance. Start with, what we need to do from Rani Chumisogi from here is we need to go into an L stance. So if you practice, hands on your hips, from here, knee spring, forwards. So again, we're sitting down the back leg, make sure we have our feet 15 degrees, make sure we have that width in there, knee in line with the heel, knee over the other one, and our shoulder in line with the knee here. So once we're here, knee spring, down. So again, look at those feet, and keep making sure you get those 15 degrees. What we can then do is we can then put a strike on. So the next one we're going to look at is Sonkal Tarigi. Okay, so knife hand strike. In fact, let's do it from a sit stance to start with. It'll help you slightly here. So, from our sit stance, all I want us to do is from here. We raise the hands up again as if we're doing a back at Pamamaki. So it's on my chest line, my hands on the inside. My hands are relaxed. As I lift and drop, what I'm doing is I'm taking the back hand out all the way through and then twisting the very end as I sit down. So now we have that Sonkal Tarigi. So again here, as we come, through, twist at the very end. Once you've done that a few times, you get proficient at it, then what we do is we go into L stance. Again, half facing. Look at your stances, make sure the stance is correct. This is one fist below shoulder height. So again, we're using our side, knife hands at the side. To create it, make sure from here, flat hands, we push out with it to come in this way, and then we bring the fingers down. The thumb is just to the side here. It is not touching, it is not through, it is just to the side, so in this position. That way, it gives us a nice, solid knife hand. Last one. So now we do Yokdung Jamuk. So, let's go from an L stance to start with and do it static from here. So with our Yokdung Jamuk, it's very, very similar to Anpamamaki. All we're doing is we're not rotating it quite as much as we do with Anpamamaki. So the hand goes to the outside again. Palms, both palms facing away. It is above shoulder height. It is on my rear chest line. If it's forward at that, it is weak. And also it's not equidistant to get the other hand back to the belt. So from this position here, all we do is stand up with our legs so we can drop down. From this position, as we drop, we just rotate through to this position. So this is at temple height. Again, I'm using Ap Jamuk here. Now, what we're not doing is rotating too far, because what happens here, as you can see, my top knuckle is further over, so we just hit with one knuckle. So what we do is we have it slightly across, and now both are hitting. So it's not straight, that is straight, which means my second knuckle is hitting. This is both knuckles. So, from here, stand up, hand to the outside, drop. Pulling back to the belt with a strike makes the technique better, stronger, faster. So this also matters for this. So both of them coming out, bringing back this one back to the belt or back to the hip is going to improve it more. So up. We can then do Songkar from here. Inside. So now we start moving forward with it. So we need to remember our sine wave in L stance. L stance, we need to stay again, same as walk stance. We stay flat to the centre. We lift up at the centre, then drop down the other side. So, doing Songkar tree to start with. From here, we rotate through to here. My hands are in a neutral position. As I stand up, my arms start to move.